Have you ever felt that no matter how much kindness you show, people still take you for granted? You give, you care, you support others, yet, instead of gratitude, you are met with indifference, exploitation, or even contempt. Why does this happen? Why does kindness, which should build respect, sometimes lead to being undervalued? You expected kindness to build respect, but instead you feel undervalued, manipulated, or even disrespected. This is not bad luck. It is human psychology. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." But what if your kindness invites harm instead of goodwill? Today we are going to uncover 5 hidden truths about kindness, truths that explain why it sometimes leads to disrespect instead of appreciation. And most importantly, I will show you how to fix this without becoming cold or distant. If you have ever felt invisible despite your kindness, if you have ever questioned why some people react with indifference or even contempt, stay with me. Because by the time you finish this video, you will not only understand why this happens, you will also know how to turn your kindness into a source of strength and respect. And make sure you watch until the end, because the last reason is the most dangerous. It is the one that could be silently damaging your relationships right now. Reason 1. Unlimited kindness is perceived as weakness. People subconsciously test boundaries. It is in human nature. If you always say yes, never refuse, and never demand respect, people will not admire you for your generosity. Instead, they will see you as someone who can be controlled. And once they see you that way, the way they treat you changes. They stop appreciating your kindness. They start expecting it. And eventually they stop respecting you altogether. Psychologists call this the benevolence exploitation effect. When kindness is given without limits, it is mistaken for passivity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man should be upright, not kept upright." This means that if you do not establish your own limits, others will push you as far as they can. When you do not enforce boundaries, you invite others to push your limits, not because they are evil, but because they can. This is why in many environments, the person who is always available is the one who is least respected. Think about a workplace. There is always one person who helps everyone, stays late, and takes on extra tasks. At first, people appreciate them. Over time, their kindness is expected. It becomes the norm. They stop getting recognition. They stop getting respect. When they finally say no, people react with surprise or even frustration. Not because they are ungrateful, but because they have become used to the idea that this person will always be available. This same pattern happens in friendships and personal relationships. A friend who always listens, always gives, and never asks for anything is often the one people overlook. They are always there, so people stop valuing their presence. In a relationship, the person who constantly sacrifices for their partner often becomes the one who is taken for granted. Epictetus taught that we should never let circumstances dictate our emotions. The same applies to kindness. If your kindness is automatic and unconditional, people will take it for granted. Kindness should be respected, not exploited. So why does this happen? Because human beings assign value to things based on their availability. The rare and exclusive is often seen as more valuable. The common and easily accessible is often ignored. This is why people admire leaders who set firm boundaries. They respect those who do not allow themselves to be used. When someone is always available, they create the illusion that their time and effort are unlimited. They unknowingly teach others that their kindness does not require appreciation or reciprocity. The solution is not to stop being kind. It is to be kind with intention. A person who values themselves sets limits. They say no when necessary. They make their kindness something meaningful, not something automatic. They do not allow guilt or obligation to control their generosity. Imagine 2 employees. One always volunteers for extra work. The other is selective, only saying yes when it aligns with their priorities. Who do you think gets more respect? The one who is always available, or the one who chooses when to say yes? Respect does not come from being passive. It comes from being in control. When you give freely, you must also protect your time and energy. Kindness should be given, not drained. It should be a choice, not an obligation. You do not need to stop being generous. You need to start valuing your generosity. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Your kindness is an asset. Treat it that way, and others will too. Reason 2. Your kindness reflects others' insecurities. Not everyone can handle genuine kindness. Some people see it as a threat to their worldview. Many people live in a mindset where everything is a transaction. If you are kind without expecting something in return, they assume you must have a hidden agenda. This reaction does not come from logic. It comes from insecurity. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When people reject your kindness, it is often because they have suffered betrayals, disappointments, and manipulations in the past. They assume that every kind act must have strings attached. They do not see kindness as generosity. They see it as a trick. Imagine a person who has spent years in a toxic work environment. Every favor had a cost. Every act of kindness came with an expectation. Now, when they meet someone who is kind without asking for anything, their first instinct is not to appreciate it. Their first instinct is to be suspicious. They assume you must want something. They assume you are playing a game. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The way people respond to your kindness has more to do with them than with you. Some people reject kindness because it forces them to confront their own selfishness. Your kindness reminds them that they do not give as freely. Instead of admiring you, they push you away to protect their own fragile ego. This is why some people respond to kindness with indifference, sarcasm, or even hostility. It is not because you are doing something wrong. It is because your kindness forces them to see something uncomfortable in themselves. Consider the person who always assumes the worst in others. If they accept that your kindness is genuine, they must also admit that they have been wrong about people. For many, that is too painful to accept. It is easier to reject kindness than to change their beliefs. The Stoics understood this truth. Epictetus taught that external reactions are beyond our control. We can only control our own actions. That is why the right response is not to change who you are. The right response is to understand what is happening. Some people have built walls to protect themselves from the world. When you approach them with kindness, you are asking them to lower those walls. Some will. Some will not. The key is to recognize that their reaction is not your responsibility. You do not need to prove yourself to those who refuse to see your kindness for what it is. Instead, focus on those who are capable of recognizing true generosity. Your kindness should not be given to win people over. It should not be used as proof of your worth. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." This means choosing wisely where you invest your energy. If someone rejects your kindness, it is not your job to convince them to accept it. A river does not argue with a rock that refuses to let the water pass. It simply flows around it. The right people will value your kindness. The wrong people will fear it. Neither response should change who you are. The only thing that matters is that you remain true to yourself. Kindness is a reflection of inner strength, not a request for approval. The more you understand this, the less you will be affected by those who do not understand you. Reason 3. Kindness challenges social norms. We live in a world that rewards power, competition, and self-interest. Society conditions people to believe that success comes from taking, not giving. When someone acts with pure kindness, expecting nothing in return, it disrupts this belief system. It forces people to reconsider their assumptions about life. Some respond with admiration. Others respond with resistance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This is easier said than done. In a world where manipulation is common, a person who acts with integrity stands out. That kind of person makes others uncomfortable. You think about a workplace filled with office politics. Backstabbing, favoritism, and power struggles are the norm. Then, a new employee arrives. This person is honest, fair, and kind. Instead of being appreciated, they are often met with skepticism. Some colleagues think they must be pretending. Others feel exposed because their own selfish behaviors look worse in comparison. The presence of a truly kind person challenges the entire system. Seneca wrote, "The greatest wealth is a poverty of desires." People who are ruled by their ego cannot understand those who are free from it. They assume that everyone must be playing the same game. If you refuse to engage in manipulation, you are not part of their game. That makes you an outsider. When you are kind in a world that rewards self-interest, you create a contrast that some people cannot accept. They may see your kindness as a weakness. They may assume you are naive. They may try to take advantage of you or exclude you. But the truth is, their reaction is a reflection of their own insecurities. Consider a person who has built their life around gaining power. They believe that kindness is useless because they have never seen it work. When they see you succeeding without using the same tactics, it challenges their entire worldview. Instead of adjusting their beliefs, they reject you. The Stoics understood this reaction well. Epictetus said, "It is impossible to begin to learn that which one thinks one already knows." Some people have spent their entire lives believing that kindness is foolish. They are not ready to see otherwise. Instead of trying to change them, you must learn to accept this reality. Not everyone will respect your kindness. Not everyone will appreciate your values. That does not mean you should change them. Marcus Aurelius advised, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This is what true Stoic strength looks like. Your kindness should be based on your values, not on the reactions of others. Some people will admire your kindness, others will mock it. That is their problem, not yours. Your only task is to remain true to yourself, because in the end, real respect does not come from pleasing everyone. It comes from standing firm in who you are. The world will always have people who resist goodness. Their rejection does not make kindness any less valuable. What matters is that you stay true to your character. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." The courage to be kind in a world that does not always appreciate it is a sign of true strength. Respect comes not from pleasing others, but from standing firm in what you believe. The right people will recognize your kindness for what it is. The wrong people will resist it. That is not your problem to solve. Your only task is to remain unwavering in your values. True kindness does not need approval. It only needs conviction. Reason 4. Overgiving makes you invisible. The more you give without limits, the more people expect, and the less they appreciate. When you are always available, people stop asking if you need anything. They assume you are fine. They assume you do not need help. You become a resource, not a person. Seneca wrote, "He who gives when he is asked has waited too long." If you constantly offer yourself without limits, people stop seeing your kindness as something special. Instead, they see it as part of the background, something they can always rely on without thinking. This happens in friendships, relationships, and even in the workplace. Think about the friend who always listens, always supports, and never asks for anything in return. At first, people appreciate them, but over time they become the one people go to only when they need something. Their kindness is never questioned, never acknowledged. It is just expected. Consider the employee who always stays late, always helps others, and never complains. At first, they are seen as a team player, but soon their extra effort becomes an unspoken requirement. Their managers and colleagues start to assume that they will always pick up the slack. And when they finally set a boundary, people react with shock or even resentment. The reality is that when kindness is unlimited, it loses its impact. This is not because people are inherently ungrateful, but because human nature adapts to what is constant. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is a reminder that time is precious. When you give all of your time away without limits, you are not only exhausting yourself, but you are also reducing the value of your own presence. The solution is not to stop giving. It is to give with intention. Imagine two people. One gives their time freely, always available at any hour. The other helps, but only when they have the energy to do so. Who is respected more? The one who is selective. Kindness must be a choice, not an obligation. Epictetus said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." This means understanding your own worth before you give yourself away. If you want your kindness to be respected, it must be something that is given with awareness. People value what they cannot take for granted. When you constantly offer yourself without question, people do not even think to say thank you. But when you give in a way that respects your own time and energy, people begin to see your kindness as something meaningful. This is why boundaries are not selfish. They are necessary. A person who is always giving and never receiving is not seen as generous. They are seen as someone who does not value themselves. The Stoics taught that wisdom is knowing what is within your control. You cannot control how others react to your kindness, but you can control how and when you give. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that life is short. That is why he focused his time and energy only on what truly mattered. Your kindness should be the same. It should be something you give freely, but not something that is drained from you without thought. Kindness is most powerful when it is respected. To be respected, it must be given with strength, not as an expectation. When you give with wisdom, people recognize your kindness as a gift, not as something they are entitled to. The more you protect your generosity, the more valuable it becomes. Reason 5. Unlimited availability reduces your value. What is always available is rarely appreciated. If people know you will always say yes, always support, and always be there, they stop seeing your kindness as valuable. They stop recognizing the effort behind it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." If you do not set limits, people assume your time and effort are endless. They stop valuing your generosity because they see it as something that requires no sacrifice. This happens in every area of life. Think about rare experiences. People appreciate them more because they are not always available. This is why people treat exclusive opportunities with respect, while they take common things for granted. The same applies to kindness. When you give too much, too often, without boundaries, people begin to expect it. Instead of appreciating your help, they start to feel entitled to it. Consider a mentor who rarely gives their time. When they do, people listen carefully, take notes, and apply the advice. Now consider a mentor who is always available, always willing to talk, and always offering advice. People listen at first, but over time they start to take that advice lightly. Not because the advice is any less valuable, but because it is always there. This is how human psychology works. We value what is rare. Seneca wrote, "The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable." Many people give endlessly because they fear rejection. They believe that if they stop, others will leave or stop caring about them. But this is a lie. True respect does not come from overgiving. It comes from knowing your worth. If you want people to respect your kindness, it must have limits. It must have intention. Imagine two professionals. One is always available, answering emails at any time, working beyond hours, and never setting boundaries. The other is clear about their availability, focused, and selective with their time. Who is seen as more valuable? The one who respects their own time. The same is true in relationships. The person who constantly gives without asking for anything in return is often the one who is taken for granted. Not because others are cruel, but because the person has unknowingly taught them that their kindness does not need to be appreciated. Epictetus said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of them." If you believe that kindness is only valuable when it is endless, you will continue to exhaust yourself without getting the respect you deserve. But when you understand that true kindness is given with strength and self-respect, everything changes. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth, yet he never let power corrupt him. He was firm, just, and compassionate. But he was never a fool. He did not let his kindness be exploited. He did not give without purpose. This is the balance you must learn. Your kindness must be given with wisdom. It should not be something others feel entitled to. It should be something they recognize as a valuable part of who you are. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." This means surrounding yourself with people who respect your kindness, not those who take advantage of it. The more you set boundaries, the more people will see your kindness as something to appreciate, not something to expect. Kindness is powerful when it is intentional. Respect is earned when kindness is given with purpose. The moment you stop making yourself endlessly available, people will start to see your true worth. Conclusion: how to be kind and respected. Kindness is a strength, but only when balanced with self-respect. Many people believe that if they keep giving, they will be loved, appreciated, and respected. But that is not how human nature works. People do not respect what they can take for granted. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors, unless with a view to some mutual benefit." This is a reminder that your focus should be on what you can control. You cannot control how others respond to your kindness, but you can control how and when you give. If your kindness is automatic, if it is given without limits, people will not see it as valuable. They will see it as something that requires no appreciation. The solution is not to stop being kind. It is to be kind with intention. Set boundaries. Know your worth. Do not allow guilt or fear to dictate your generosity. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." This applies to kindness as well. If you spend all your time giving to those who do not appreciate it, you are wasting the most valuable resource you have. Your kindness should be given to those who respect it. Your time should be spent on those who recognize its worth. This does not mean you stop being generous. It means you start being wise. Imagine someone who constantly gives but never asks for anything in return. They believe this will make people value them. Instead, they become invisible. Now imagine someone who is kind but selective. They help when they can, but they do not sacrifice themselves completely. People respect their time, their effort, and their generosity. This is the difference between kindness that is valued and kindness that is ignored. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Decide today what kind of person you want to be. Do you want to be kind and respected, or kind and taken for granted? The choice is yours. You can be strong and kind. You can be generous and respected, but only if you understand that kindness must be given with wisdom. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire in the world, yet he never let power corrupt him. He was just, compassionate, and firm. He did not seek approval. He did not give without limits. He acted with purpose. This is how you must approach kindness. Not as something you give to be liked, but as something you give because it aligns with your values. Seneca wrote, "Brave men rejoice in adversity, just as brave soldiers triumph in war." It takes courage to set boundaries. It takes strength to say no. It takes wisdom to know when to give and when to hold back. Your kindness is a gift, but it is only a gift when given with intention. Do not let your kindness become an expectation. Do not allow it to be drained from you without thought. Kindness is most powerful when it is respected. And respect is earned through wisdom, not blind generosity. Now, pause for a moment and ask yourself, have you ever felt exhausted from giving too much? Have you ever wondered why some people seem to respect others more, even when they are less kind than you? It is time to take back control. Share your experience in the comments. Let others know they are not alone in this. And if you found this message valuable, do not keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear this today. True kindness is not weakness. It is strength when given with wisdom. The more you respect your own kindness, the more others will respect it too.